Need your horror fix before the next video? Now that the creepypasta mistress from the mountains has returned, check out my revived channel, Mountain Eyes Narrations. Updates Mondays and Thursdays. Have you ever noticed how creepy some places can be at night? Once the darkness falls, drawing out the shadows and obscuring many things from sight, it can make the most innocent and welcoming of places during the day into scenes most off-putting. It would be very easy to imagine some hellish creature waits lurking around the next corner, hungering for its next meal. Now join me, friends, as I recount another true tale on tonight's edition of Spooky True Saturdays. Gather round and listen well to Never Take Frogs from the Coal Miner's Mountain. Years ago, my Papaw needed to make a little extra money to care for his family and expand his farm, so he started looking into some extra work. Once the tobacco plants were moved to larger fields to grow taller and before hay was ready to be cut, Papaw had a bit of time on his hands. For a while, he took on a job driving trucks from the coal mines down the mountain to be loaded at trains at the base. It was a decent job and good money, although some parts of it could be a bit worrisome. For starters, some of the roads were pretty narrow, with nothing but high embankments on one side and steep cliff sides on the other. With hardly any guardrails or natural terrain barriers, one wrong move could send a hapless truck and rider tumbling off the side of the mountain. Less immediate of a danger, but still prevalent in the minds of the truckers, were the mysterious occurrences that happened on the mountain. After all, any area with a coal mine is bound to have history. The thick-accented mountain folk were always good for a yarn, and most of their tales were dark as a coal miner's lungs. Their jobs were fraught with dangers: cave-ins, tunneling into an aqueduct, exposure to gas. Many a man went below the surface, but not all would see the light of day. This, of course, led to stories of the spirits of doomed miners roaming the mountainside. And those lonely spirits were always looking for others to join them. This, among many other tales, did not scare my Papaw. He may have been as Appalachian as they come, but he wasn't overly superstitious. While some may have been wary about stepping out into certain parts of the mountain, Papaw was more than happy to explore a bit when it was light enough to do so. He was able to find quite a few interesting and useful things this way, including ginormous bullfrogs. Now, I've never been the biggest eater of frog meat, but for a time, Papaw loved a gig for those big yellow-bellied ones. And since free food was good food, there were many times Papaw had a tendency to scoop up some of these near the little pools on the mountainside where they had been allowed to grow, unperturbed. Papaw's little excursions ceased for a time after one particular incident. One dark summer night, Papaw was coming down from the mountain with a load of coal, as usual. It was eerily quiet outside, as a storm was steadily approaching. Of course, Papaw was used to that sort of weather, and all the signs read that it might go around them. Still, he wanted to squeeze in a few more trips, just in case. As Papaw headed down the winding dirt path, he began looking around, noticing the long, wraith-like branches of the sparse trees and the thick tufts of grass that lined some of the embankments. Such places would have been perfect areas for a wildcat to hide. Or a vengeful ghost, Papaw thought, smirking to himself. While some of his relatives had supposedly seen a few, Papaw had not. After all, his closest brush with the paranormal was a turtle clattering around in an old wash tub in an old moonshiner shack. Though, thinking back, that sounded like such a silly thing to be spooked by, just like any other spirit. Just like the stories of the ghost miners. As that thought entered into his head, Papaw felt something heavy clap down onto his shoulder. The fact that he was almost at the base of the mountain when this occurred was the only reason he did not jerk the truck over the side of the mountain. There was only enough room behind his seat to maybe squeeze an empty pop can, so it wasn't like a whole person could fit back there. At least, not a living one. Papaw managed to take a sharp curve without wrecking and pulled the truck just short of the end of the road into a clearing, as this was a dirt road that really had no shoulder to it. All the while, Papaw's hair was standing on end, and his mind was racing. He shouldn't have scoffed at the ghosts. One really did have a hold of him now. Maybe they were angry that he'd taken frogs from the mountain. After all, he'd heard the stories of how some spirits remained territorial over the place where their earthly remains rested. Oh, he never should have taken that job. The moment the truck stopped, Papaw flung himself out of the cab to freedom. Or so he thought. He hadn't realized that he had actually taken his accoster with him. For when he hit the ground, the weight on his shoulder lifted, falling right in front of him. Why, it wasn't the hand of a ghost miner, but the biggest, fattest bullfrog he had ever seen. That's when Papaw remembered the frog he had caught during the morning. He didn't have anything to put it in that evening, so he just tossed it in the truck, and had promptly forgotten all about it. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed another little scary, not so scary anecdote at my Papaw's expense. Granny loves telling this one, as do I. It's so hard to find something to tease the old man with when he's always been so capable of poking fun at us. Do you have any spooky stories that turned out to be funny? Drop them in the comments below. Good night, and see you all real soon.